No.
Call the meeting to order. This is the Hawaii Housing Finance and Development Corporation Regular Board of Directors meeting for May 14th, 2026. I will take a roll call today. Present are Director Mackler, Director Ryman, Director Sasaki, Director Colby, also Directors Bradshaw, Director Glenn, and Director Evans. So we do have 6 present. We have met our quorum requirements. I would like to ask those directors who are attending remotely if there's anyone with you present at your location. So I'll start with Director Bradshaw.
I'm here by myself, thank you.
Okay. Director Glenn.
Here by myself, thank you.
Thank you. And Director Evans.
Here by myself.
Okay, thank you. As we go through today's agenda, we will take public testimony on the agenda items. I would like to ask Douglas to come up and to give us the ground rules for testimony, giving testimony.
Thank you, Chair. Good morning. Welcome to today's board meeting. If anyone wishes to provide testimony on a specific agenda item, please follow these procedures. For those joining us virtually, when we open the floor for public testimony on an agenda item of interest, please click the raise hand icon on the Zoom toolbar. This will place you in the queue to speak. Those in the room, please raise your hand. Testifiers will be recognized in the order received during designated agenda items. When called upon to testify, please state your first and last name and the name of the organization you represent. Testimony will be limited to 3 minutes per person for each agenda item. Please ensure your remarks remain focused on the subject matter under consideration. When you reach the 3-minute mark, a verbal time notification will be given. Please conclude your remarks at that point to ensure we stay on schedule for all speakers. Finally, while this time is specifically designated for public comment to ensure all voices are heard, the board will not engage in direct dialogue. However, please be assured that your comments are being recorded and will thoroughly be reviewed by all members. Thank you.
Next, our first item of business is the approval of minutes. This is section 2 of the agenda, the regular meeting minutes of April 9th, 2026. Is there a motion?
Motion.
Second. We have a second. Okay. Any discussion, directors? Minutes? If not, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
Aye.
None, the motion carries. Go on to section 3 of the agenda. This is discussion and or decision making. Item A, this is to approve the State of Hawaii program year 2026. This is July 1, 2026 through June 30, 2027. Annual action plan for the U.S. Department of Housing and Urban Development, Office of Community Planning and Development's Home Investment Partnerships, Housing Trust Fund, and Housing Opportunities for Persons with AIDS programs. Is there a motion to approve? We have a motion.
Second.
And we have a second. Then I will ask if there anyone in the public who would like to offer testimony on this agenda item. Okay, if not, we'll turn it over to Karen. Good morning.
Good morning, Chair, Vice Chair, and members of the board. My name is Carrie Higa, and I'm a planner here at HHFDC. This for action seeks your approval of the 2026 annual action plan, which covers HUD's Home Investment Partnerships Program and Housing Trust Fund Program, as well as the Housing Opportunities for Persons with AIDS program. The intent of these federal funds are to strengthen communities and provide decent, affordable housing for families and special needs populations. Annually, HHFDC rotates its home funds among Hawaii, and Maui counties. For 2026, HHFDC anticipates receiving approximately $3 million in home funds. HHFDC will award the funds to the County of Maui this year, which funds will be used for the development of affordable rental units and increasing home ownership units for families earning 80% of the area median income or below. The Homeless Program Office of the state's Department of Human Services administers the HOPWA program, under which DHS anticipates receiving approximately $1,107,368 for program year 2026. Funds will be used statewide for providing financial assistance and services to individuals with HIV or AIDS who are homeless and at risk of homelessness. Under the National Housing Trust Fund Program, HHFDC anticipates receiving approximately $3 million for program year 2026. Maui County and the City and County of Honolulu will use HTF program funds toward the production or preservation of rental housing for extremely low-income families earning 30% of the area median income or below. The state's program year 2026 annual action plan focuses on the allocation of funds by activity type and objective instead of specific projects. Upon the selection of each project, the County of Maui will inform the community by issuing a 30-day public notice containing detailed project information. The draft annual action plan was subject to a 30-day comment period, which ended on April 2nd, and no comments were received. The annual action plan is also an application for these home HTF and HOPWA funds, which is usually due to HUD on May 16th of each year. Since there was a delay in the announcement of the 2026 home and HOPWA allocations, the action plan deadline will now be June 2nd, which is 60 days after the allocation amounts were announced. If approved and once signatures are obtained, we anticipate submitting the action plan to HUD by the June 2nd deadline. Staff respectfully recommends approval of the program year 2026 action plan.
Thank you, Carrie.
Thank you.
Directors, do you have any questions for staff? I have one. So with Maui County getting the next allocation, do they have projects identified for the use of those funds?
Not at this moment. I believe the latest is that they're in the process of selections, like the issuing an RFP.
Okay,
So that's not, am I correct?
Yeah, that's
Okay.
okay.
Yes.
And what kind of timeline are they under to commit?
They're under a 24-month timeline.
Okay.
Yeah, and then recently the timeline for commitment of funds has been suspended, so there's additional grace.
Okay. Okay. If nothing else, all those in favor of the motion? Say aye.
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 Aye. Are there any opposed? Hearing none, motion carries. Thank you again for all your.
Thank you for being here.
Oh. We'll go on to the section 4 of the agenda, which is the report by the executive director. Over the meeting.
Thank you, Chair. No, we have a very short agenda today. We'll spend some time talking about some legislation and some projects that HHFDC is undertaking. First of all, for the Halekama Aina Mortgage Program, we had a media event a week ago, last week, Thursday, on May 7th. We celebrate the first 3 home buyers that have phased on the program. So it was a great event. We will get some media coverage from it. We have about a dozen buyers now in the queue, so the program really is picking up momentum and is doing well. So great work by Danny and Mike Doyle on getting that program running. Awesome. For legislation, first I want to thank our legislative team, Dean Watase, Leila, and Marcy, who really stepped up this year to, fill that void. They did a great job. Some of the bills, major bills that affect HHFDC, House Bill 1711, which relates to our rent-to-own program. What that bill does is extend the rental tenancy period from period of 5 years to up to 10 years. So it gives us flexibility to set that tenancy period. It doesn't have to be 5 years, it can be anywhere from, 0 to 10 years. And that's great for us because as we look at developing our two projects, it really depends on the prevailing economic environment and its buyer profile in terms of how quickly we can transition the rental tenancy to sale. HB 2270 relates to the payment assistance. So right now for the Halekama Aina mortgage program,
Jan, I want to zoom.
more of the buyers who have contracted to date are utilizing the down payment feature. That's because by statute, it is so restrictive right now, where home buyers have to put in 5% of their own funds to even be eligible for the assistance. That's really tough for first-time home buyers. So what the bill does is amends the statutory requirement to reduce the buyer down payment amount from 5% to 3%, and it's inclusive of assistance provided by the program. So that's a great benefit to home buyers. For most other housing finance agencies that have similar mortgage programs, most buyers benefit from the down payment assistance. So we're really an anomaly where buyers haven't been able to utilize the down payment feature for our mortgage program. It also changes a requirement that the interest rate. Right now, the statute requires interest rate on down payment loans be dependent on buyer income, which again is an unusual feature. So it does away with that requirement. It allows interest on the down payment assistance loans to be forgiven. So we wanted to structure the program is that if after a certain period of time, I believe it was 9 years, a buyer was in compliance, the interest on the down payment loan could be waived. A mortgage, 30-year mortgage interest would not be waived, only for the down payment assistance portion. And also clarifies that we may secure services from financial institutions, lenders, and mortgage originators. That's more of a housekeeping measure. Overall, we think that the HB 2270 will really help the down payment assistance portion of our Halekama Aina mortgage program.
Let me just comment on that. So assuming this gets signed in and it's all good to go, will you folks put together like a program memo or revision memo to all of
Yes, we're gonna have to-
lenders and others that are not participating that could come into the.
We're gonna have to update our marketing materials, remarket the down payment assistance portion so that realtors and lenders know about, the improved down payment assistance feature. Senate Bill 2069 relates to the equity program. There's some, good and bad to the bill. We were requesting that the bill the program be made permanent. Instead, the bill that passed extends the sunset date to 2031. It also increases the ceiling for the program from $10 million to $20 million, because we are basically at that $10 million cap right now. Some components that, we're not too happy about are that on Oahu, the program can only be used in a TOD zone. Neighbor islands can be used within a half mile of a bus stop. And, just want to note that the most successful program or project to date using the program has been Kuile Place, which is in a very dense urbanized area, but because it's not by the transit station, it wouldn't be eligible for this program. So, that's one downside where under the amendment, some very deserving projects that are, again, in highly urbanized areas would not be able to benefit from this program, at least for some pilot phase.
Is this program being viewed as a loan program or as a development program?
We have explained that it is a home buyer program. It is not a development program. So I think the reason why it was the amendment to limit it to TOD areas was to promote development in TOD zones. But this program by itself does not spur development. It helps home buyers to get into units, but it really doesn't help developers to build their projects.
Okay.
Senate Bill 2338 relates to staffing for HHFDC, HPHA, and HCDA. So this is a bill that we did support. So it, among the things that it does is retitles the executive assistant position, Douglas's position, to the deputy executive director. Also increases the ceiling for the position to, I think it's 95% of the ED salary. It sets forth qualifications for the finance manager, Mike Doyle's position in statute. It also establishes that the finance manager's salary should be set by the board. Whereas right now it's set by, myself. It limits the term of employment contracts for the ED to 2 years, which isn't an issue for us because we don't have employment contracts. Or I don't have an employment contract. It adjusts salary ceilings for the ED and the deputy ED. So the salary ceiling for the ED is now 99% of the governor's salary. In the past, it was up to the state director level, which is only about a $10,000 difference, by the way, between the director and the governor. Surprisingly, not a big difference. And it also exempts employment actions from approval by DBED. So that is something will help us to, expedite some of our staff actions. There's Senate Bill 2544, which creates the Hawaii Builds pilot program. And this is really could be a great tool for us to expedite development of homes. There was a housing delegation that housing stakeholders, legislators attended last summer. And we went to Vancouver and learned about their BC Builds program. So this program tries to emulate some of the features of the BC Builds program. It's a 5-year pilot program and allows the HHFDC board to designate projects that participate in the program. And the pilot program requires at least one project in each county. And under the program, HHFDC can convene a Hawaii Builds expedited review team, which would consist of relevant state and county agencies to prioritize the processing of permits and entitlements for pilot projects. So basically the way this would work is normally for a project, you move in sequentially from planning, design, financing, entitlements, and construction. Under this program, the thought is to get all the stakeholders in a room from the onset, agree to a schedule, and each agency commit to that schedule so that projects can move along much more quickly. So in Vancouver, projects that would already take 7 years to get approved are getting approved in 2 years. So that would be the goal here. It provides for exemptions from 103D, which is the state's procurement law for certain actions, and expedites review by Department of Health, and also for 21838, which is our zoning and fee waiver program. It allows the approvals to be made by the county planning director rather than the county council for those projects within the program, the pilot program. And also want to make note of our resolution HCR 85, which is the East Kapolei TOD project area. The state owns about 170 acres adjacent to the Keone Transit Station, which is right by the West Oahu. Eleanor has been, is the owner of the property. We have been planning a mix of residential, industrial, and commercial uses. And the legislature was, they desired a higher density of residential use around the transit station. So the resolution urges the transfer of lands from DLNR to HCDA, and for us also to partner with HCDA for the construction of infrastructure for that project area. So we've already started work on this, taking a fresh look at the property, looking at what its highest and best use could be. So this is a item that we'll be coming to the board to establish a budget for, because again, we'll be taking a fresh look at the plan and how we can maximize its TOD potential, in particular for residential use. One more bill, there's a handout from the materials here, because there's so much going on with this bill. I'll give it to you in writing. It's House Bill 1740. This relates to, again, the zoning waiver and fee waiver program, the 201H38. You might recall under about 2 years ago, almost 2 years ago, that there was an alternate pathway that was passed, whereby projects wishing to receive exemptions, they didn't have to commit to any income restrictions or affordability limits, but they did have to commit to having all the units in the project to be owner occupied for the life of the building. In the past 2 years since that alternative pathway was implemented, there were no projects applied under that pathway though, because many developers felt that having 100% of units to be sold to owner occupants, no investors allowed, that really constrained their sales. So what this bill does is it loosens some of the requirements of that alternate pathway, and also changes the definition of qualified resident to, which would affect all of our programs basically. And this is a bill that we support because we think that this is an attempt to get more housing built, might get more for sale housing in particular off the ground. So for the qualified resident definition, there are no changes to the citizenship requirement, age, or you still have to be domiciled in Hawaii. You still must reside in the unit. But for income, income portion is a housekeeping measure where right now a statute requires HHFDC to verify that the buyer has sufficient income to purchase a unit. And that is something that banks, lenders do. It's not something that we need to get involved with. So that was deleted. But what did change, and this is a pretty substantial change, is that right now to purchase a 218 unit, the home buyer cannot have a majority interest in residential property. So basically right now, if you own, see a restricted 218 unit and outgrew it and want to purchase a larger unit, you have to sell your unit before you buy a larger unit, which timing wise can be very, very difficult. So what the bill does is it allows a home buyer to move up the ladder. You can purchase another property as long as you sell your current property within 2 years. And going down to the amendments to 201H38, I have the 3 columns here. There's a traditional pathway, which is the pathway that most of you're probably familiar with, because that's all we've brought to the board so far is the traditional pathway, the current alternative pathway, and all that pathway is being amended by possible 1740. So again, under the new pathway income restrictions, there are no income restrictions. So a project could come to the board being all, market rate units. But for the buyer requirements, means 20% of the units or 80% of the units must be sold to qualified residents. So it allows for 20% of units to be sold unrestricted to investors. The bill does require, though, that for the restricted units, that they must be owned or occupied for the first 5 years. After that first 5 years, units may be rented, but they must be rented to qualified residents, so they must be rented to someone domiciled in Hawaii, and the term must be for a minimum of 1 year. So that's to ensure that the housing units, all units built under this program are actually occupied by the resident, that they're not being used as a vacation home, second home. And all resale units also must be to a qualified resident. So this is something that, we have been working on during the off session with the Home Rule Collaborative, representatives from the House and Senate, housing stakeholders, as a means to, try to get more sale housing off the ground. And even though there are no income restrictions, I will note that you still need county council approval for these projects, so that's gonna have to come into play. I think in reality, projects probably will have to commit to some level of affordability to get county council approval. Any questions about any of the bills?
So I have a question about this one as far as long-term compliance. Who's gonna do that?
That's something we're gonna have to do. Yes, because the long-term compliance, especially the part about qualified residents not owning other property. We're gonna have to determine how we do that. I mean, it can be done, but have to contract it out. Rather, we're gonna do it internally or we contract that part. And also in your materials, I passed out this map of two projects. This is in the villages of Kapolei. First parcel, the smaller parcel labeled Iowa House Pilot Project. We're looking at doing a pilot rental project using product from what's called the Daiwa House. Daiwa House is a manufacturer of panelized housing in Japan. We've been looking at whether or not using their product could reduce the cost of constructing housing here. They're a well-established company in Japan. They've been using this product for a decade, so it's a well-established building material. And I'll note also that the unions are on board with using Daiwa House product in particular. In fact, TRP had a delegation go up to actually see the factory earlier this year. So our initial feedback that we've received is that there are some cost savings. For the vertical cost, it's about 15% cost savings. Well, that is quite substantial. It's about $100,000 or so per unit savings. So we are continuing to work on the design for this. It does look like we're going to proceed, and right now it does look like we will be going with this. We'll be bringing a for action to the board to be seeking a budget for this this pilot, and anticipate bringing this to the board later this summer. Second project that we're working on. This is an HHFDC initiated project. It's a rent to own project in the larger rectangular area. That parcel of land is part of our non-potable water system in Kapolei. The area south or below the rectangle is where the non-potable water system is. But that rectangular area is about 2 to 3 acres. Right now it's just, underutilized vacant land, but we could put housing there. So given its size, given the density, we think we could probably achieve about 100 units or so here. We are evaluating whether the yes, the disposition options, whether it be apartments, rent to own or leasehold condos, and we're thinking about a rent to own project here. And again, if the Daiwa House product type works out, we'd be looking at using that same product type on this project here for the rent to own project. So this one, this is in ag. One zone land is state land use urban, zone ag, so we'd have to go through the 201H process to all the housing to be built. So again, this is a project that we might be bringing to the board later this year. We have consultants on board working on the planning and design of the project. So that concludes my report. Questions?
Did you also mention, as far as, revolving fund resources?
Oh, right, I should have mentioned this, the state budget, yes, that's very important. So under HB 1800, we did receive $50 million more for the rental housing revolving fund. So we have a total of $100 million coming into rental housing revolving fund for next fiscal year. $50 million for tier 2 rental housing revolving fund and $40 million for dwelling unit revolving fund.
I just wanted to ask you if you feel comfortable, if you could preview for June's meeting of the 9% credits, that will be.
We're gonna start
coming
awarding
on the
those.
agenda.
We're gonna start awarding the 9% credits in June. I think we'll have at least 2 for action.
There's two, yeah. We're expecting 2 in June and 2 in July.
For 9%. Okay. Okay.
And so they're working on that right now. They're also working on the 4% awards. So it's a matter of how far we can get with the 4% awards because we don't have as much RHF available in years past.
But you do have a larger allocation this year for 9% because of carryover and the.
Carryover and returns of return, yes.
All right. Directors, questions for Dean? Thank you for the report. And all of the rest of you for getting through the ledge session. Okay, it brings us to adjournment. So most of you adjourn. Come on, we have a motion.
Second.
We have a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
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 We are adjourned.
Thank you all.
Pretty good.
Good time.